Hello, and welcome to the final screening in the Korean Film Nights programme Trapped at the Cinema of Confinement. My name's Thomas Flew, and I'm one quarter of the curatorial team for this programme, along with Macy Germain, Maya Kuzina, and Julia Martos. As you may know, the Korean Film Nights programme is a collaboration between the Korean Cultural Centre UK and Birkbeck University of London. And like the rest of the team, I'm a master's student at Birkbeck, studying film programming and curating. Korean Film Nights have been running as in-person events for several years now, but as we've had to switch to an online programme for this edition, we're working in collaboration with the Korean Film Archive, which is a brilliant and rich resource. Tonight's screening is of one of the finest films in the Korean Film Archive selection, Sopyonje. It's a story adapted for the screen by Kim Yoon-gon, who plays the father Yoo Bong in the film, and it's directed by Im Kwon-taek, one of the grandmasters of the Korean cinema, who is loved in Korea for his films exploring cultural identity, but also has won respect in European festivals, having won awards at Cannes and at the Berlin International Film Festival. Sopyonje is the story of a family of travelling artists who perform the traditional folk music pansori and struggle to make ends meet. The film is credited with reigniting Korea's interest in pansori, which is a form of folk music that presents lengthy stories in the form of song, which often lasts hours. In Sopyonje, director Im pays homage to this art form by using lengthy shots to allow the music to breathe and become the focus of the film. But, as tastes change in the film, the family are reduced to playing on the streets and to drunk, rude and disinterested audiences in bars. These scenes are flashbacks and are framed by the son's quest to find his now estranged sister. We're left to wonder how and why they are separated. In this programme, Trapped, we've seen confinement in some of its most literal and severe senses. 301-302 showed two women whose lives are restricted almost entirely to their apartments. In Eunuch, the walls of the fortress are impossible to escape alive. And in Transgression, the characters are stuck within the confines of a Buddhist temple and only rarely able to leave. Alongside this company, Sopyonje might seem an odd choice. The family are free to move around, and in fact some of the most beautiful and memorable shots in the film are of the family travelling from one town to the next. And yet there really is a tangibly oppressive atmosphere between the family, thanks to the patriarch Yoo Bong, whose drunken irresponsibility drives a wedge between father, son and daughter. Without a fixed address, the family takes residence wherever they can, and their cramped and uncomfortable housing is the setting for some tense scenes of anger and discontent. Sopyonje therefore completes the trend of this programme of moving from tightly enclosed spaces to films that are able to explore the great outdoors. It's a fascinating film for a number of reasons, but something that really stands out to me is that it was a huge hit in Korea, winning swathes of awards, and yet it was never released theatrically in the UK, and it's been very rarely screened in this country since its release in Korea in 1993. Although this might not seem unusual, given that its focus is on cultural traditions like pansori that are specific to Korea, it's absolutely a universal story, particularly in its exploration of old versus new culture, a theme that arises frequently in films from all over the world. And, of course, the sight of a family bickering whilst being stuck with each other will be a really familiar sight for people all across the world who have been locked down with their families or flatmates in the past few months. So although the strictest lockdown in the UK may be behind us, there's no doubt that the exaggerated relationships of the past few months have not reached their end. Either shared confinement in the bubble of home, or not having seen loved ones for weeks and weeks on end. This film can help to hold a light to the importance of geography and architecture in defining relationships. Look at how the family interacts when they're in open spaces versus when they're stuck together. So, all that's left to say is thank you to everyone that's engaged with this programme, and please make sure you take a look at the blog posts written by our team, which are available on the Korean Film Nights website. Thank you so much to Nick, Yoonji and Jin at the Korean Cultural Centre for all of their supports, and to Janet and Helen at Birkbeck for their guidance. We hope that you've enjoyed the programme and that you enjoyed this final film, Sopyonje.